Big things come from small beginnings. Did a Tau exile, tempted by chaos, take actions that directly led to the return of Lionel Johnson? An Alpha Legion double cross everyone saw coming. I'm Larry from Bowles, and this is Arks of Omen, Farsight. This book is part 4 in Games Workshop's Warhammer 40,000 expansions called Arks of Omen. Takes us way over to the Tau Empire, all of the stuff that is going on over there and how it links into the Arks of Omen campaign. As with all the other books, we also get a whole bunch of actual nitty-gritty rules for various factions and special types of missions for boarding actions. We now segue over to the Tau Empire, where we find a giant war is going on between Commander Farsight in the Farsight Enclaves and an orc warlord named Nazdrag. These two factions are fighting themselves to a standstill. Farsight is losing. He tries to cut a deal with the Ethereal Council, offering to surrender himself to them if they come to his aid. They turn him down. The Tau government basically says, we're willing to lose all of these worlds in exchange for having you and your rebellion erased from history. Rough there. Farsight then decides that his only chance of victory over Nazdrag is he has to go back to Arthas Moloch, the Forbidden Zone world, where he originally found his not demon sword and has a warp portal on it. He goes back there. He and the orcs get into a giant apocalyptic fight to see who's going to win. In and around the warp portal opens, demons start spilling out. It's a big mess. You're wondering, how does this have to do with Arks of Omen at all? Far up in space, an Ark of Omen has been dispatched by Abaddon and Vashdor. They've been told, hey, on Arthas Moloch, one of the keys that they're getting to build their magic chaos MacGuffin is on this world by coincidence. And you would think that key's probably the warp portal. Strangely enough, it's not. Where the key is, in the middle of this giant battle between Commander Farsight and the orcs, a nefarious Alpha Legion force does the most expected double cross you would ever expect. Alpha Legion. They take over the Ark of Omen, go down to the surface of the planet, and they find the key. And the key, strangely enough, is not the warp portal. The key is a strange glowing something or other that they find about just a few miles away from the warp portal on board a Heresy-era crashed spaceship of the Dark Angels. Go into that wreckage, they retrieve the key, they flee off the planet dramatically. As the key leaves the planet, basically, the warp portal fizzles out, the power of chaos on the entire planet fizzles out. Farsight and his Tau forces miraculously do manage to beat the orcs back and destroy them. Farsight himself leaves the planet. He waits a couple days to see what's up, and then the big mystery at the end of the book is he goes back to the planet. Chaos is now gone, and what they find is that strangely this dead world that had not allowed any life to grow is suddenly regrowing. Grass is coming up, trees are coming back, and it's all magically regrowing, and they're very unsettled at trying to understand what has changed on this planet, whereas what we all know is that whatever it is that the Dark Angels had crashed on this planet has been removed, and now the planet is regaining its life force again. And that's where the story ends. So, when you really think about it, this is a really interesting book. So it turns out that with no knowledge, strategy, or anything, a rebel Xenos commander, Commander Farsight, he may be pretty much responsible in this chain of events that's going to lead to the Lion coming back, even without him in any way being aware of it. That's pretty cool for the Tau. What does all this mean? It's a strange book. The first 3 Arks of Omen very much were just one large narrative, each one picked up very clearly from almost exactly on the previous book. This one is kind of a Scooby-Doo switcheroo, and it's in a whole different part of the galaxy. What we learned from this one is that one of the primary keys that was incredibly important to Vashdor in this whole operation, something that had crashed near a warp portal that was stowed in the back of a crashed Dark Angel ship, and when it crashed, it was probably during the Horus Heresy. So clearly, something Dark Angel related is big and important to Vashdor's plan. In Book 3, we saw that also raiding the Rock was incredibly important to Vashdor's plan. So whatever is going on in this built off of and is tied to the Dark Angels. We now know, because Games Workshop has just revealed it, Book 5 in this series is called, dun-dun-dun, The Lion. And we know that Lionel Johnson, the Dark Angel's Primarch, is going to come back to life. Think we can all see where all these hints are headed towards. As with all of the previous Arks of Omens, all of the rules in this book are centered on boarding actions. There are boarding action rules, stratagems, special rules, and everything. We get the Eldar, including Inari, Drakari, Harlequins, we get Sisters of Battle, and we get Tau, obviously. We also get rules for multiplayer boarding actions, basically team play, 2 versus 2, more than one-on-one players. You get a full set of rules for how to handle that in boarding actions, and you get a whole set of multiplayer missions. This is important because Games Workshop just revealed boarding actions were all written with 10th edition in mind. The entire concept of boarding actions and all of these missions and rules will carry over into 10th edition and be totally legal. So all these rules will survive. As with the previous Arks of Omen, plot and narrative story is very, very deep and very well done. So if you are a 40k lore fanatic, this book is for you. If you bought the previous Arks of Omen, you're going to want to get the whole series. Also, if you have any interest in boarding actions whatsoever, doing those kind of space hulky missions, you'll want to, again, pick this book up. You get another 6 factions who get all their special rules, and you get the multiplayer missions. All these rules Games Workshop has just officially announced. These are all completely edition safe and will work in 10th edition. So these books are future-proofed. That's Arks of Omen Farsight. If you want to learn more about Arks of Omen, check out these titles. I'm Larry from Bowles. Have a great one.